they're also calling it the Wild Wild West. You got the individual NIL, you got the transfer portal, you've got collective NILs, and then you've got states that are trying to get ahead of this and trying to compensate you by giving you tax breaks. It's insane as to the levels of complexity on this issue.
And if you're a little school, you've got no skin in the game.
Welcome to Girls Gone Gritty.
I'm Farley Boyle.
I'm Darian Boyle.
And I'm Jennifer Grittiest.
Collectively, we're two sister-in-laws with our bestie.
We don't just talk, we do it. Day, night, mountain, beach, and city.
Get ready as we bring gratitude and attitude to everything we do.
We jump in head first, unafraid, and we're all in all the time.
We bring it on and get it on each week, diving deep into authentic, unscripted conversations
on just about everything. So
let's get gritty.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Don't wait until tomorrow.
Hi there, and welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. We are in Bring It On Studios, and we're getting ready to bring it on to you guys because it is March and it is madness. And we've got a lot to say about NILs and the transfer portal. So before we hit that, what did everybody do this weekend?
Well, I had a great weekend. We had a paddle tournament here called the Narum Seal. It's 4 clubs that do a mixed co-ed event, which I've never done before. So I threw myself into the deep end on something new, which was great. And then I capped that off with a St. Patty's Day party at our Little Silver Fire Department, which is always an amazing community event. So it was spectacular.
We had a full weekend of spring skiing. It was kicked off Friday at Sugarbush at Prey, where above the outdoor bar in the courtyard, they built this huge DJ booth. So tunes were pumping on Friday afternoon. So the après began Saturday, skiing corn all day. It was 50 plus degrees. You'd think it was the end of April, but it was just a freaking epic weekend. Had a little ski race on Sunday. And here we are, the kickoff of Monday. And some of my favorite time of the month, March Madness. What about you?
I got some winners in my house, so I'm going to just keep that winning spirit going. OSU won on their big spring break tour out to Oregon and San Diego.
And they're still undefeated, right, Far?
They're 8-0, and Loyola whipped up on Army this weekend. So we're in a good place, heading back down on Wednesday for Syracuse. Yikes.
Oh, you guys have had
and
nonstop.
then USC this weekend. So I've got a lot of Buckeyes see USC in Columbus.
It's so fun. So, girls, what are the top 5 grittiest headlines of the week?
The top 5 grittiest headlines, they start off pretty fun and then they get to be intense. Number 5, is that a turtle in your pants or are you just happy to see me? What do you guys think about that story?
I'm laughing too hard right now.
When I think of a turtle head, I get 2 different ideas. One can come from the behind and one can come from the front. So you lead us off. My head's in the gutter today.
Yeah, the head's in the gutter today, but someone actually bringing a turtle on a plane? What is going on with people? Leave the turtles
Emotional
in
support?
the pond. If that's your emotional support, I don't know. I think
Service
he might
turtle?
think of a better way to do it. How do turtles deal with altitude? Imagine seeing a turtle's head pop out sitting next to you. Hey-o.
All right. Well, number 4. Giddy up. Ted Lasso returns. I got to be honest, girls, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, God. Loved Lasso's first season. Was just the best energy. I looked forward to it. It was clever. It was everything that makes me, like it's a show about a sport. They're kind of like the Bad News Bears. This coach is like got personal stuff factoring into his life. It's so real and honest. But the second season, I kind of just felt like it got a little not as uppy and happy. It was a little like Debbie Downer-ish at times. And I don't turn to Lasso for Debbie Downer. I turn to him for happy, fun, joy.
Oh, it's so true because I don't watch a lot of TV, a lot of series. And Jeff and I started watching that. And I could never on first season, I any free moment, I'm like, we have to watch another episode. And then you'd end up like binging 2 or 3 shows. It was so good. And I love the sport and just all the drama that goes on.
The players.
When whereas like with the players in professional sports. And like each character was so well cast. Season 2 came, you watched it. it wasn't something that I really had to sit down to watch because they were trying too hard. So third season, I'm really, really hoping that they nailed it.
I heard that there was like a writer change between season 1 and 2. I don't know. That would make total sense. Something happened.
It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait. Soccer season. Boom.
Boom.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Boom. Number 3. Speaking of seasons, hecklers to home runs to hole-in-ones. Which side are you on?
I'll take Juan Soto any day of the week over McElroy. What a baby. Juan Soto, we're going to put up on our Instagram and on our Facebook page that Juan was getting heckled in the stands by some jerk that probably has never played baseball in his life, calling him the most overrated, overpaid athlete. He turns around and looks at him center field, gives him a death stare, and then goes up and hits a homer, like a dinger right over the guy's head. He could have caught it if he actually had flow.
I think his gut came out.
I mean,
when he was falling backward on it. I'm not
Such a
not an
tool.
athletic fan at all.
But the way Soto handled it versus McElroy. Did you see the McElroy shenanigans?
Oh, I couldn't even believe it. You had Potter, last name Potter, he's a Texas Longhorn, and he's a really good up-and-coming golfer. I think he was ranked like number 60 or something, but all of a sudden he's heckling McElroy. And then McElroy comes, grabs his cell phone, and puts it in his pocket, and they're escorting him away. But you wonder, is he being a baby? Or, I mean, even though it was their TPC at Sawgrass, it was
like a practice round.
It's a practice
guy,
round,
get over
but
yourself.
Yeah, but still, you know what?
There's just like the 2011 Masters. He didn't say anything. The heckler, Potter.
Right. Yeah,
just
but
like the 2011 Masters.
But the thing is that at the PGA Tour, they have a code of conduct that prohibits spectators from making rude, vulgar, or any other inappropriate comments or gestures. So look, you have a huge tournament coming on and you have some DB that's in the background. He's shooting himself in the foot because the kid's actually a good golfer and wanting to go to the PGA. So, dude, you made a really bad decision. He did do BS apology. And his coach, John Fields, who spoke to golf.com, said he's got a hole in his heart. He had no idea what was coming out of his mouth. And he sent some other really lame note.
I hope this kid never gets heckled. If you can dish it out, I hope you can take it. But that was a very big boo-boo on his behalf, especially being in that field.
Well,
right, but Potter's apology.
We live in a world of hecklers nowadays, unfortunately.
Suck it up, dude.
I'm not
Put
saying
the earmuffs on.
But I do think on all these fronts, people have to understand, like, those are the men in the arena. Those are the people that have stepped forth onto the stage. Real easy to be chatterbox on the sideline. All right, number 2. Is this the Hippocratic Oath or hypocrisy? Have you met Anna, your AI nurse, yet? What is going on with that?
That scares me to death because I go to a ton of doctors. I'm always breaking something or hurting myself. And the fact that all of a sudden Anna is going to be your nurse, some AI person who has a really sweet voice on the other end that's going to tell you, well, here's how you do a colonoscopy. I know you're really nervous. There's no one-on-one. It's you're not treating these patients as individuals. It's not the traditional role of treating an individual like you would for a pre-op or a post-op or, hey, let me just go to the doctors. It's scary because if I was a nurse, I would go, is this going to be our new future? And I would fight it. Anything with AI. I hate it.
The nurses have taken to, the streets and they're petitioning and protesting, just like we covered in earlier episodes about the thespians, the actors, all trying the music, all trying to protect themselves. And it's coming fast. So make sure you know who's on the other end of your phone call. That's all I can say. Well, from number 2 to number 1. Now, this is out of the stratosphere. Those stranded astronauts in space are trying to get home, and thanks to SpaceX and Elon Musk, they will be hitching a ride later this week.
I just think it's so crazy that you go to space for 9 days in your brain and you come back in 9 months. And now Elon Musk, who is in Trump's office, is responsible for sending the taxi cab to get them home. I mean, what can't this guy do? Seriously.
Imagine being in space for 286 days and you're just waiting. You're counting the minutes because once you come home, I mean, they don't spend that much time up there. They're waiting for a whole new team, where I think the new team came and is replacing them. They're coming down, and it takes for a 9-month, will take them 9 months to rehab to get back to normal, because they stay in a microgravity. When you're in that space for too long, it's super, super painful, and your body has to kind of recalibrate itself. And it takes about, I don't know, maybe a month per month that you're there. But they're really not out of space yet, because they're going to come here and have to realign themselves with the regular world.
9 days to 9 months. That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, well, I think these astronauts, they're amazing human beings, and thank God for them, because they really are on the next frontier of everything, and they're just ready and willing to do what they need to do for science and for humanity. So kudos to them, and kudos for getting them home. And like I said, I think that I think it's interesting where their space program has gone to, and keep an eye on it, because I think that the Starlink company that sent them up there that's Boeing, has got to be scratching their head as to like how they're really screwing up this government contract. So
how do you think the replacements that are going up there feel? I'd be a little bit on the fence going, they said 9 days, it's 9 months, but oh yay, I'm really excited to get up there. Could be a year. You don't know.
I think
they have to have replacements.
I think they're happy because it's a SpaceX mission this next time, because Boeing has screwed it up so badly. Yeah. So hopefully they have a little bit more confidence, because they're getting rescued by the same company. So, but to be determined. Let's hope these guys get home, and hopefully in the next episode we'll have some good news about their return.
I think astronauts are so cool.
Oh my God. Don't you? I do not ever want to go into space. So I think they're cool, but no, thank you. All right. So from space back to the crazy universe that is March Madness. So ladies, what are we going to talk about today? Is the day after Selection Sunday, and lots of things happened, not only with the selection process that I got an education on, but we're double down on the NIL situation that is within this time period of them making so much money.
I think it's interesting because the NILs, I'm on a different side of it because I have female athletes, and it's not an equal playing field right now. Do I think NILs are ruining college sports? Absolutely. I do. But I also think that the women's side of NILs, we're not even in the same competition. It's not even really based on athleticism. It's almost like these girls like Livy Dune and the twins from Miami, they post tits and ass a little bit. And so it's upsetting, because if you're going to really look at athletes that are competing, that bring something to the table, and you look at all these guys that are getting millions and millions of dollars in NIL money, if you're not a good social media person, and you're a phenomenal athlete, you lose out. The ballers, the girls that were at Miami, they weren't like the best basketball players, but they were really good at social media, and it made them $2 million.
Well, and if you look at the Sports Illustrated, they put a list of the top ones that I have here. And not only is it social media that pushes people like Livy Dune into the top, she's in the top 5 as number 5, but Archie Manning, obviously legacy of family, like he is not ranked as high as other athletes that are in his same quarterback genre, yet he's got the genetics, and he's got the family name, and he's at the top of the heap with $6.5 million in his valuation that's estimated. And the next person closest to him is a basketball player from Duke, who's Cooper Flagg, and he's at 4.8. No, and then it drops off.
LeBron James,
Yep.
He's $6.1 million. And he plays USC hoops. He's number 2. Now you're looking at the Manning James names, and you're investing your money, if you're a corporation, in like their legacy.
And for our listeners that aren't sports fans, what we're talking about are collegiate sports athletes. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And that's referring to the college rights of these athletes that can then sell their name, image, and likeness to different sponsors. So in 2021, the NCAA, they lifted the ban on college athletes monetizing their name and likenesses, so they can go out to any sponsor they want. And it's not someone who's sponsoring the team, it's them individually. So what happens is these athletes are making millions of dollars while they're in college. So where do you go from there? I mean, you're making so much money in college, and the girls are talking about these names that are literally making $6-7 million in college. It's crazy.
Some of these kids are making this kind of money in high school. Okay. So,
right. Yes. California was the first state to actually pass that in high school.
They're not making $6.1 million yet. But as far as high school, Kai Trump, this is Trump's granddaughter. She is a golfer, an up and coming golfer, and she's in high school right now. Her valuation is $1 million, and she's going to play golf at Miami. So there are high school kids. The kid that we're talking about that plays at Duke, he is 18 years old. His name is Cooper Flagg, and he's an 18-year-old boy. So the problem is there's no loyalty.
But he's also picked the number 1 draft pick.
See, some of these kids aren't even
that's
going
the
into the
thing.
draft. Look at Carson Beck. Here's a kid that was at UGA as a quarterback. He got injured. He didn't have a great season, not a great season, but his valuation, let me look at his valuation. I mean, I think it's like $4.8 million. Yeah, 4.3. So he, instead of going into the draft, because his stock down a little bit, he's trying to work on getting his valuation back up. So he leaves his team, his people, right? And he goes to University of Miami now and is going to try to cultivate whatever he can to get his valuation up and get more endorsements, NIL money before he goes into the draft. So it's a business and there is no loyalty. And these coaches that work on trying to put the chemistry of a team together, and whether it's an individual player that is responsible for the success, it never really is. I mean, you've got to have
it's individual.
a supporting cast. Well, right. I mean, the NIL money is individual, but it's not one person that's winning a national championship. If you have a great quarterback, then you're highly likely to win a national championship.
But the athletes are all about themselves now. When they're trying to get their NILs, they're trying to make the most amount of money. So when you are brought onto a team, what's going to keep you there? And just like you're saying, I mean, these kids are making so much money. Then they go into the transfer portal, and all of a sudden, the team they were just with, it explodes. They need to tighten this up. Because are you focused when you're at school on social media and really pushing your endorsements? And is it taking away from you having a great education? Or are you just focusing on marketing and marketing yourselves? Because look, when I was a professional skier and I was in charge of myself, I was my own manager and I had different agents for TV and for modeling. But when it came down to doing my contracts, I did them. And you have to hustle 24/7. But still, now I have sponsors, and it's all about going to become an influencer. You need to have so many likes. You need to be on social media. Okay, my new sponsor, Okova. Okay, who do I hashtag? Okova Mountain Crew. What else? It's taking away from everything you're doing, but that's your focus. So is it a good thing or a bad thing in college?
You know what I mean? I have a child right now that actually has all the accolades that she needs to really be a kid that could have NILs pouring in, but they're not pouring in because lacrosse isn't a big enough sport. So it's a shame because when you look at the people that are really making the money, it's football, it's basketball, it's, the women basketball players are trumping pretty much every other female sport that's out there. And it's a hard situation because my child is not going to blow up social media. So you think about all the athletes, women especially, that are super talented at whatever it is that they're doing, but they're just not willing to become a TikToker or a social media influencer on some level, which is what you have to do. And women can't just post themselves doing their sport because it's sex sells, unfortunately. These guys aren't showing their abs and their packages.
Part of the problem is that women let's stay with basketball, Farley's example, and the strides that we made, and we covered it with Caitlin Clark last year, have been made in very recent times. They weren't allowed to use March Madness up until just a couple years ago. They weren't equitably being compensated in even scholarship money. Title IX has taken decades. And you have sports that don't pull in the money that football and basketball does. And they still are not getting any of the viewership or anything else. And it's a sad state because these are as equally talented athletes as anybody else. But to Darian's point, I think the biggest and saddest thing about the NIL situation is the fact that it's taking the eye as the most important part of team, and it doesn't belong in team. I actually feel a little bit better for the gymnasts and the individual team sport people, because at least they are individuals when they perform. When you're on a team and you need that cog in the wheel to make sure your offense, your defense succeeds, and they're ready to hop on the portal and the next best place because of cash money, because money talk, that's a problem for the long term.
That's why coaches are leaving. Saban, right. Nick Saban left because he was like, I can't compete. I can't compete with NILs. Even the Miami coach, he had this unbelievable team, but knew that they were going to get dismantled because people are going to go in the pursuit of their individual, the biggest number. So you can't keep the chemistry together on a team, and all the fruits of your labor are kind of for naught, because, I'm just holding my breath that OSU is not going to do this, because here you've got a team that won a national championship. Jeremiah Smith is now evaluated at like 4 million plus, and we need him. And
yeah, well, you think like if with football, like the saying is defense wins championships. You have these quarterbacks, the star quarterbacks. It's not just you at every snap. You have all your linemen. You have all your boys. So you're the front man. You're getting the money. You're the good looking guy who's got the great arm. But think about everyone who's behind you that's helping those plays work. That guy leaves, that team blows up. Who's to say that when they go to the next team that they're going to get the coverage and that respect like they do with their original teams? What happens when you get injured and you're sitting there on the sideline going, oh, wow, none of these are my boys?
Double-edged sword. It's so you could debate both sides. Do I think the portal is a good idea? Yes, I do. One thing I wanted to say about the portal is if you're not happy at a school and you're not playing and you're not favorited by the coach, or let's just say that the chemistry isn't working for you. There are pros and cons to both. I do feel badly for the kids that go to a school and it's not the right fit for them, or they couldn't get into their dream school year one, but they can transfer into the school year two.
Yep.
So there's got to be parameter, and you have to stay within the confines of whatever is structured, so that you can't just pull out and dismantle and show zero loyalty and become an individual me player. Got to go back and restructure things.
They're also calling it the Wild Wild West. You got the individual NIL, you got the transfer portal, you've got collective NILs, and then you've got states that are trying to get ahead of this and trying to compensate you by giving you tax breaks. It's insane as to the levels of complexity on this issue.
And if you're a little school, you've got no skin in the game.
One thing that I was educated on this go around with the NIL is learning about how they're changing the landscape of it. And these collective NIL groups, places like Ohio State, they're saying should be in a better served place than some of these other schools that don't have such a fan base and pool of people. Because what these collective NIL schools are doing is they are taking all donor money, pooling it, so then they can go out and compensate athletes fairly to come to Ohio State or Duke or Pickett. But they're talking about these collective NILs being super unequitable and unfair as well, even though it's going for the team, because then it's pay to play. You're screwed.
And these athletes, for our listeners, have to pay taxes on every dime that they get. So that's a big chunk of money.
Well, and they were saying about the portal, specifically when it comes to NILs, what some of the kids are doing too is they're figuring out what their market value is. Like all of a sudden I can go into the portal. I'm the 8th player on my current team, but if I go into the portal, I might find that some fabulous school all of a sudden wants me. So that free market ideology, I theoretically agree with. I think what's difficult is I didn't realize that the portal gets open, like the portal's open during March Madness. That's insane. The fact that there's this free market happening and kids are figuring out their value during March Madness, that I can transfer during March Madness, is absolutely completely coined March Madness crazy. That's why I wore my Looney Tunes Crazy Squad shirt today, because it really is lunacy what's going on. And we haven't even touched on the fact that the way that the schools are chosen is there's a subjective component to that. It's not a complete mathematical formula, where some of the people that got outed or didn't make it in this year are really upset, and some that are in are a little bit of a shock.
Well, we've got the play-in games. First four is what they call it. So that's UNC, Texas, Xavier, and SDSU. People are disgruntled that they even got the nod. but they have to play each other. So SDSU plays UNC and Texas plays Xavier, and the winners of those two games advance, and then it becomes like the real deal.
Tonight's the first round of the March Madness because Jeff is a Duke alumni, and he said to Dee Dee, we are going to sit and watch all the March Madness games.
Are in number one seed too.
So
just
good.
so you know, in case you're wondering, chomp, 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 chomp.
I just freaking love you, Jen. I love your outfits.
A gator hater. Just kidding.
So who are you guys rooting for?
Wait, was that a question?
Wait, I was kidding.
I'm sorry. Could you pose that question again?
I'm going for Duke. It looks like Jen is going for let me think.
What does Jeff think? Does Jeff think their star is going to be able to play? What is he thinking there?
Yeah. They somehow you figure out how to play when you're when it comes down to this. This is
you can tape it, you know.
This is your swan song. You get shots, you get things that really you don't think longevity. You're thinking in the moment. Yeah. I'm playing and I'm going to do the best that I can. Unless they're playing a team maybe that is not the strongest team that they can maybe sit out, but he'll get some play time, I think, some court time for sure.
Let's just touch base on UNC because I know that is a big question mark, and people don't understand how
Duke rivalry,
how they could lose to Duke when they actually almost won, which is absolutely insane. That was like a crazy game. The analysts last night, they basically said, "Hey, you know what? They did not. I think they won 1 out of 11 quad 1 games." So that right there would strike them off the map. But then they went 8-0 in quad 2. And these guys said, look, their journey has been an exciting one. And they keep elevating their game. And what they did against Duke is where the debate lies. Like, hey, they deserve to be out there. They're a big team. And they've gotten better as the season progresses. So they made the decision to let them in, and people are mad about it.
Well, I have to suspect that when it comes to these selection committees, there is a factor of, viewership. Like they'll say it's not, they'll say that the net rankings measure performance based on efficiency, opponent quality, and game location. So they factor in all this stuff, but they want some of these healthy rivalries. They want to make sure that they want the big names. I mean,
it brings in the viewers. That's the thing. It's like, who has the biggest schools? Who's going to give us the most Nielsen ratings? Who's going to who can we bring in the biggest sponsors for? When you see those names on the board, everyone's tuning up to those games rather than a small college that no one's really heard of.
You know what they covered last night? SIUE. It's Illinois Edwardsville. They won the D2 championships 4 times, and they finally made it to the dance. They're in.
Awesome.
So finally, here, like we talked about this on our last episode, they waited patiently, and they're in.
And I love that because the other ones that they'll talk about, like they talked about Kentucky, and they were saying how Kentucky got like their blue blood boost because it's Kentucky, and how can you not have Kentucky in it? And their ranking is at number 3 seed. And they're like, there's no way that they should have been ranked. If you're going to take history into the factor, then okay, sure, give them a higher ranking. But if you're going team by team, they got much higher of a ranking than they should have. But I do think the subjective nature of the March Madness. And then the other thing that, I knew it's been growing in popularity, but how large it's gotten over the years. It was never this big. I remember thinking, my God, these brackets, I don't remember not being able to see these brackets. I thought it was my eyes and my age. It's not. It's the brackets are getting smaller and smaller because they keep adding teams.
There's 68 teams.
68 teams.
68. Yes. That's a lot of teams.
And there's 30. I didn't realize there was 31 conferences. So each of the conferences gets an automatic bid. I didn't realize there was 31 conferences.
Crazy.
I think it's just we have nothing to do here in the Northeast in March, so
this is kind of a lag in the this seems to be kind of not a lag, but it's a quiet time in sports. So the Final Four, March Madness blows up. Totally. That's what you now are watching because there's not football, baseball seasons. There's about to be in spring training, so it's all right. This is what you're looking for because after this, it kicks right in April to baseball and spring training and draft picks and all the other fun stuff. And I love college sports because you really never know what's going to happen.
Jen and I went to the UConn Nova game the other day, and there was like not a seat in the house, and it felt as legit as the Final Four.
Yeah, it was the Big East tournament, and
so
the game
fun.
before it we watched was actually spectacular. It went into double overtime.
Yes.
The Creighton DePaul game. Yep. It was super fun. But what do you guys think about the way to thread the women in the tournament? So it's like the men play, the women play, the men play, the women play, and then the women are the Saturday before the men for the final. Do we like the fact that like there's just all this basketball, men and women, that's like on the same trajectory? Or do you think it's too much?
My husband is anti. I will say that.
I think nobody wants to see that. You want to tune in. Sorry, and I don't like women's basketball. I think it's boring. But I like men's basketball.
Well, I don't know.
And I love college.
Be as exciting as it was last year with Caitlin Clark not in the mix. I mean, I think last year
she brought fire.
An anomaly. It was different, because she was like a really celebrated, ridiculous athlete that was garnering male attention as well. But I think, we don't have that star quality out there. Well,
how do we know? I'm not watching either. Maybe if we want to, if the Girls Gone Gritty want to, maybe we should try and watch a little bit more girls basketball and see. Because
nope.
Again, whoa, come on.
I'd rather watch ski race.
If we're talking about money and we're talking about NIL and we're talking about leveling the playing field, like, then how do we get people to show up?
I mean, they give away seats. I don't know. You get a better game going, and then you could bring in the sponsors. But I'm so happy that it is picking up. Caitlin Clark did put women's basketball on the map, and there are more viewers watching women's basketball. So I will. I will watch.
Major stars on UCLA and USC. Like those two.
No, I'll watch. Because there's no other sports on. There's no other sports on. Although there's skiing. There's still a little bit of ski racing.
Well, I guess to answer my own question, since I didn't get a specific from you, I do like the fact that they're giving it's like the women play, there's the days, there's men play. So you can participate in both for the listening audience. You can watch both men and women and figure out not only your Cinderella for real as a female and a Cinderella team for the men. They will emerge. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe there is a Caitlin Clark in there that we don't know about yet on the women's side. I hope so.
South Carolina's got some mega talent. So I think it's really going to be like South Carolina. UCLA,
as long as they turn it into like good basketball. I just didn't like it and nothing. I'm not being prejudiced, but it was like thug ball. And that's what turned me off of it last year. It lacked just team spirit. It lacked, and it wasn't
the NIL started to factor in, and it was a big grade,
I watched it and I'm like, these athletes are not role models for Didi. They're not role models for the up and coming basketball players. I want nothing to do with the way that they all were treating Caitlin Clark. And it was like, wait a minute, just play the game. And that's what turned me off of it.
Caitlin Clark came out and actually she felt like she had white privilege. And I don't know if that was even
she shouldn't have said that
the right publicity move, from her handlers, because she got where she is because she's phenomenal and she worked really hard. And yes, did she play against African-American players? Absolutely. But they played against Caitlin Clark, and you can't tell me that didn't make them better too.
Well, yes. and back to your point though earlier about like the fact that you have to be an athlete and you have to be a business person and you have to be a social person. I and I think I said this last episode, I feel terribly for, and she misspoke, not diminishing that, but feeling like you're always on. She's on the basketball court. Now she's got to pick up the microphone and be on, and she's got to put on her face. Like, it's a lot.
And she doesn't want to offend anybody. And she wants
athletes. It's a lot.
Liked
when
by
I say thug ball, that's not being black or white. That is just, that means, and you're not really playing a respectful game. You're doing cheap shots. It's not a
poor sportsmanship.
Poor sportsmanship. Thank you. So
right. Yes.
Right. Well, yes. we like to be good sports on Good Girls Gone Gritty all the time. And we very much enjoy March Madness in every capacity. I love as it whittles down. Are we going to do a bracket, girls? Are we thinking about trying to see where we can vet this out here? Have a little friendly competition?
I think we absolutely could do a bracket.
Let's work on it, and we'll bring it next week.
We'll unveil it on Insta.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you at home and listening audience want to participate in how you're doing on your brackets, I think it's a fun little exercise to go through, and it gives you, it's like taking out a Super Bowl box, right? It puts you in the game. You've got a side bet going on. Throwing back to our earlier episodes, and it just makes it a little bit
It's
more
fun.
interesting.
And it makes you pay attention more.
Yeah, it does.
You're involved.
It does. So do your brackets, have a good time, enjoy March Madness, and we'll hopefully see you at a sideline event sometime soon. And we're going to be gearing up to be up in Vermont for the pond skimming event in the beginning of April. So more news on that when we see Darian in the Got Grit Studios there in Warren, Vermont, which is Sugar Bush, for those of you who don't know.
We've got a little continuation of March Madness falling into our Got Grit award winner this year.
Awesome.
Or this week. I feel like this person should be awarded because he set an example for the masses, and that will be Hubert Davis, who is the head coach of UNC. What I think he has done that is a remarkable lesson to be learned by everybody is he refuses to lane blame for the costly loss against Duke and his poor teammate, Jalen Withers, who unfortunately stepped on the line right before a foul shot was made that would have tied up the game, and it could have actually led to a big upset with regards to Duke. He handled things so eloquently. He decided that he was not even going to field any type of questions from reporters that would play the blame game because they were a team, and Withers was a part of the comeback out there when they actually came back from a 24-point deficit to get on the even playing field with Duke. And, I think instead of pointing the finger, I also like the way some of the teammates handled it. One of his teammates put a towel over his head so that the media couldn't hone in on his face and just make it all about this one tragic situation that could have happened to anybody. So I think our Got Grit maker or award winner is going to be Hubert Davis for setting the example. And, hopefully other coaches along the lines, whether it's professional, whether it's the club level, high school level, when an athlete makes a mistake, it's the last thing that they want to do. They didn't try to purposely do anything that could cost their team a loss. And remember that, because this kid, his last name is Withers. You don't want him to wither away and have mental health issues as a result. Did you guys see this?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? To Farley's point, the thing I love about it is that coach is really smart to know that games aren't won or lost by one foul shot. Like they technically are, but there were so many misplays. There were so many things you could have done better. There were so many chances you had prior. You don't want to get it to a point where it's that tight, and you can't point fingers when you lose at a short. Like to me, it reminds me of when you go into penalty kicks in soccer. Like that one kick, like it is a defining moment, absolutely. But there were so many other things that got you to that moment. So I think it's awesome that he had good sportsmanship and good
the higher road
and chose to just accept the responsibility as a team. We win together, we lose together. And that's the way we want to play. So I have an amazing song for you today that is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm going to read the lyrics. Breathe it in. The feel of your body on my fingertips. The moonlight on fire and the clothes we're in. Gotta do something to remember. We don't want to forget it. I want to memorize you. I want to stay here forever because I will take a picture in my mind so we're always together.
I got so sucked into the breathe in that I was thinking Pearl Jam, but that is not Pearl Jam and that is not Eddie Vedder. So I don't know.
So it's a beautiful song that was written by Need to Breathe, and they have Carrie Underwood who guests on that song. It's a beautiful melody about just being present, sharing time with people that you love, sharing, special moments that are big, that are small, that you don't ever get back, and you want to keep them in your mind. Don't worry about what your photos you're taking, what posts you're making, but live it each and every day.
Memorize
so find Need to Breathe, find Carrie Underwood. She'll be on our playlist. And that's our song for the week.
Fabulous.
Inspirational.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in to Girls Gone Gritty. Tune in next week. Go to Spotify, YouTube, and thank you so much for being a part of our show. You are what make our show special, all you listeners.
Go Gators.
Go Duke.
Out.
Put grit in everything you do.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty.
You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
If this episode hits home, share it with someone who needs to get gritty.
The 3 Gs. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.